This is a fictional, alternate timeline for entertainment. It is not news, not advocacy, and not a claim about real events. After the Shadow War, the world doesn't feel broken. It feels unstable. Because the Shadow War didn't end with a victory, it ended with a mindset spreading everywhere. Assume the worst. And once people assume the worst, the smallest signal becomes terrifying. A resident wakes up and checks their phone not for messages, but for proof that normal life still exists. Does the banking app load? Do transfers clear? Do deliveries update? Is the news quiet? And when the news is quiet, nobody relaxes anymore. Quiet now feels like a pause before impact. A small business owner feels it through timing. A supplier demands prepayment. Insurance adds new conditions. Shipping quotes surge. Banks add extra review. Review becomes the new global weather system. It's everywhere. It slows everything. The owner tries to stay calm, but calm is expensive because payroll doesn't wait for stability to return. Now the world enters what people later call the first night. It begins with warnings that don't sound dramatic, a public notice about temporary restrictions, a travel advisory, a message about infrastructure protection, a vague statement about heightened readiness. Most people scroll past it. Then they notice something small that changes the temperature. Traffic increases for no clear reason. Pharmacies feel crowded. Grocery aisles feel tense. Neighbors are carrying more bags than usual. No one says the word panic, but everyone can feel it. Because panic doesn't start with screaming, it starts with quiet preparation. Then the systems tighten again. Ports increase inspections. Air routes adjust. Shipping lanes get reclassified. Payment rails add more verification. Everything becomes safer on paper. Everything becomes slower in reality. And slowness is what makes people afraid, because slowness means uncertainty, and uncertainty spreads faster than any headline. Then the leak hits. Not one screenshot, a flood. Documents that look official, audio that sounds real, messages that imply intent. Some of it might be real, some might be altered, some might be completely fabricated. But in this moment, it does not matter, because the leak does not need to be perfect. It only needs to do one thing: make people believe the next step is inevitable. That is when the markets freeze instead of crash. Freezing is worse. Crashes end quickly. Freezes linger. Companies pause decisions. Shipments pause, hiring pauses, projects pause, and when the future pauses, society starts leaning into fear. Now both sides respond. In this fictional timeline, a European-led system aligned with an expanded BRICS bloc tightens internal coordination. Priority corridors, infrastructure protection, emergency continuity rules, communication control to reduce public panic. At the same time, the US-led alliance tightens coordination with partners. Continuity planning, emergency logistics lanes, higher alert posture, rapid intelligence sharing. Both sides are telling themselves the same story. We are preventing escalation, but prevention has a trap. When alert levels rise, reaction time shrinks. When reaction time shrinks, mistakes become more likely. When mistakes happen, fear interprets them as intent, and fear is a terrible judge. Now the first visible shock arrives, not the kind people expect, not a big announcement, not a dramatic declaration, a disruption. Airspace restrictions expand. Flights are rerouted or grounded. Ports slow into controlled windows. Trains and trucks hit checkpoints that weren't there yesterday. People try to stay rational, but rationality struggles when the basics begin to wobble. A resident sees a line at an ATM, not because cash is suddenly needed, but because people want options. A resident sees pharmacy shelves thinning, Not because the world ended, but because everyone is preparing at the same time. And when everyone prepares at the same time, the system feels like it is failing, even if it is not. Now the second visible shock arrives. Power doesn't go out everywhere, that would be too obvious. Instead, parts of cities dim. Mobile signal becomes inconsistent in pockets. Networks lag as security rules stack on top of each other. The world still runs, but it runs worse. And worse is how modern life breaks. Now the third visible shock arrives, a security incident near a critical site. Details unclear. Attribution unclear. But in a high-alert world, unclear is gasoline. Social feeds explode. News tickers spin. Everyone tries to be first. And in moments like this, the story arrives before the truth. The public reacts to the story. Leaders react to the public. Systems react to leaders. A cycle of pressure forms. Now fear becomes physical. You can hear it in cities. More sirens, more helicopters, more night patrols, more announcements that say stay calm in a voice that does not sound calm. Small business owners start getting messages from suppliers. We can't guarantee next week. We might delay deliveries. We need different payment terms. Next week becomes a terrifying phrase because it means the future is no longer a promise. It's a question. Now the night turns into something darker. Not total war everywhere. Not yet. But something changes that people can't unsee. A distant flash on the horizon. Then another. Phones light up at the same time. Emergency guidance returns. Stay indoors. Avoid windows. Limit travel. A resident freezes, listening for the sound that always arrives late. And when the sound finally hits, it isn't loud in the way movies make it. It's heavy. It's real. It makes the body understand what the mind refuses to accept. People don't need details to feel it. They feel it in their chest. Now the World War feeling begins. Not because the whole planet is on fire, because the planet is holding its breath. Because everyone realizes the same thing at the same time, this can spread. Now the economic world reacts like it's seen a ghost. Insurance spikes again. Certain routes become too risky overnight. Shipping schedules collapse into uncertainty. Warehouses fill. Stores tighten purchase limits. Companies switch to survival mode. And survival mode has a personality. It hoards. It locks. It restricts. It delays. It controls. Now governments go deeper into emergency posture, not as a speech, as a system. More checkpoints, more restricted zones, more monitoring, more temporary rules that feel permanent. People accept it at first because fear makes control feel comforting. But comfort has a cost, and the cost is the feeling that the world is closing. Now the climax of episode 9. It happens in layers like a storm. A major port enters full lockdown. A large region runs on reduced power. Air routes tighten again. Payment rails prioritize only certain categories. Networks isolate harder. The world becomes a machine operating under stress. Then a new alert spreads through control rooms. Not proof, not certainty, a warning. And warnings are dangerous because they force choices before facts. One side interprets movements as preparation. The other side interprets preparations as intent. The public interprets uncertainty as danger. And danger creates pressure. Pressure creates speed. Speed creates mistakes. And mistakes create escalation. Now the resident receives a final message for the night. Emergency guidance. Stay away from windows. Keep your phone charged. Check on family. The resident looks around the room and realizes something that breaks the heart. Normal life is still here, but it is not guaranteed anymore. And that is when the first night becomes the point of no return. Because a point of no return is not a map location. It is a feeling that settles into the world, a feeling that says tomorrow will not be the same. So this episode ends with the quietest cliffhanger possible. No triumphant music, no victory, no certainty, just a sentence that spreads through the world like cold air. We are past warnings now. If you want the final episode, hit like so YouTube knows you want the ending, and subscribe so you don't miss it. Tell me in the comments, do you think the world could have stepped back here, or was it already too late? The next episode is called No Way Back. It begins the moment the sky lights up.